Hey everybody, Mark from Rams Up here. Got a midweek drop for you. I'm going to jump into the discussions that have been going on seemingly all over the internet, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook groups, CBS Sports, ESPN, everywhere. Everyone seems to be talking about who is the best quarterback in the NFL. And let me start by saying the problem is everybody's on different wavelengths. Everybody's talking about different things, in my opinion. Who's the greatest quarterback ever? Tom Brady. Who's the best quarterback right now? Probably Aaron Rodgers. Who is the best quarterback moving forward? Who has the most potential? Joe Burrow? Justin Herbert? Good point to argue. So I'm going to narrow this down and qualify this argument very specifically. I'm going to tell you who the best quarterback is if you were to take a random roster, a pretty good roster. I selected the Minnesota Vikings for this example. And if I have this Minnesota Vikings roster and I want to get to the Super Bowl in the next 2 years and I want to win it, what quarterback am I taking? I can have any quarterback in the NFL. Who do I want? And I took a slightly analytical approach to this. I looked at last year's QBR. I looked at the quarterback's age. I looked at what receivers, what weapons he had at his disposal last year. And I came up with a pretty solid top 6. And I'll tell you who was not in this top 6, surprisingly. Russell Wilson was not. Actually, that didn't surprise me so much. I'm not as big a fan of Russell Wilson as many, especially the last few years. I think the Broncos are going to be struggling with him in that division. Going off on a tangent. Now let's get back to the subject at hand. You know who else was not in that top 6? Joe Burrow. Got hurt by a fairly respectable 54.3 QBR, but not good enough to crack this top 6. And he was also dinged, in my assessment, by the fact that he had a great group of wide receivers. But he's young. He's got that going for him. Who else didn't make it? Dak Prescott. He was number 7, actually. Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan, Ryan Tannehill, none of them made it. My top 6, 3 through 6 were actually really tight. And I had them in order. Patrick Mahomes, who had great weapons around him, still fairly young. Matthew Stafford, 34 years old, had a really good season, kind of high on the interceptions, which hurt him in the QBR assessment. Tom Brady, number 5, 44 years old, and he had a very good QBR, second in the league behind Aaron Rodgers, but he had a lot of weapons, tight ends included. So he didn't crack that top 2, though. And then Josh Allen was number 6, still relatively young, getting better every year, it seems, 60.7 QBR. Had Stephon Diggs at his disposal, but not really great weapons around him after that. So he came in at 6. And who are my top 2? Aaron Rodgers, number 2, with that incredible QBR, thanks largely to the fact he only threw 4 interceptions. That really is remarkable. Getting up there in years, 38 years old, had Davante Adams at his disposal, but again, not a whole lot after that. And who's number 1? My number 1 quarterback, if I'm the Minnesota Vikings or some other team similar to that, pretty good roster, want to get to the Super Bowl in 2 years, let's say the Philadelphia Eagles, a team like that. Who do I want? I can pick any quarterback. Justin Herbert. He came out on top. Him and Rodgers separated from those other 4, but Herbert edged Rodgers, 24 years old, a 65.6 QBR. He had Keenan Allen and Mike Williams to throw to. Justin Herbert, number 1, edging out Aaron Rodgers. So throw darts at me, send me an email, tell me how wrong I am, have no problem with that, and maybe we'll revisit this on our Monday night pod. Out for now.